Back in the late 70s and the early 1980s, there was a huge interest in CB radio in the UK. Its underground status and this new wireless ease of communication really caught on very quickly, and keen to prevent illegal AM CB radios being used over here in the UK and interfering with vital communications, the UK government for once acted very quickly and moved to allocate UK CB users a set of frequencies safely away from vital services, and hence the CB 27/81 allocation was formally legally launched in 1981. Although a small section of users had been operating illegally here since the late 1960s. As with many hobbies, the booming UK magazine industry sought to capitalise on this new and exciting craze that was taking the nation by storm. Although the also rising home PC craze at the time probably helped to keep the CB thing in check, and it was the computer magazines that were of course far more omnipresent at that time. There were many CB magazines to choose from here in the UK, as there were all around the world, and they covered various topics. As with all magazines, they were very well supported by large advertising spreads, encouraging the reader to part with what was, at the time, in the first year or so at least, an eye-watering amount of money for even a basic home setup. Moving back to the 80s, the computer game scene, and more to the point, the actual point of this video, my very good friend Lloyd buys and repairs vintage gaming computers, primarily the ZX Spectrum and its variants. He dropped me a line because in an eBay purchase of a computer that often come with tape cassette games, he had found this tape, which clearly wasn't at first glance a computer game and was certainly a magazine cover gift or something similar. So he texted me and showed me the tape and said that he thought I might be interested in it. He then of course wondered, had the tape got a game recorded over it? This of course back in the day was something that we all would do. Get a tape to tape recorder or borrow your mate's tape player and jack some leads in to copy the games. If you were really desperate, you might actually even tape over a retail game in order to get the latest Trans Am or some Jet Set Willy action. With some good luck and the visual absence of any sticky tape over the record tab, the cassette was slotted into the machine and we were greeted by a hiss and then some country and western music. For some reason, and probably likely the use of CB radio as a tool for truck drivers and its appearance in shows and movies and TV on shows like Smokey and the Bandit and the Dukes of Hazzard, an early association was made with country music in CB. The funny reality of that is that the sets were used all around the world and in all applications, and were almost always not ever Western in origin, having nearly all of them being made in Japan. Now, this cassette is 37 minutes long, so rather that I play the whole thing here, I'm going to drop sections of the tape into the ongoing videos on the channel just for a bit of fun. Now, looking at the font used on the artwork, this must have been strapped to a CB magazine possibly called Breaker, and the date on the tape is 1981. However, this company, Smile Publishing, did seem to offer commercial products for sale, such as this tape, and other books on the subject, as you can see from this flyer that was dropped inside the Rotel RVC 220 box. This CB radio was my very first radio back in the 1980s. This tape is now 40 years old, and it's quite incredible that it sounds so good still. The magazine publisher, Smile Publishing, who appear to have long since disappeared, although the name has since popped up again as a publisher of booklets for public services like the National Health Service. Right, so hang on tight for the next few minutes and enjoy this total blast from the past. The funny voiceovers are credited as being done by UK singer and impressionist Terry Webster, who appears to be still on air, so to speak. So best of luck, Terry. Let's press play.
19 for a copy.
Yeah, you've got a copy there, good lady. Do you want to bring it on back with your handle, come on?
Yeah, this is Angel here, good buddy. What's your handle?
Yeah, Roger Dodge there, good lady. Renegade, from the Rainy City. Is that a 4?
Ah, big 4 on that. I've heard of you. Do you want to pick a lucky number?
Yeah, 4 for sure. Do you want to take it up to 27? Come on.
Going up.
Are you on Channel, Angel?
Yes, I'm on channel, good buddy. What you doing in this area?
Well, I'm just cruising down through Sleepy Valley. You know, I've been down to a couple of eyeballs. Basically,
That was a conversation between two CB experts. And this tape is going to teach you how to become an expert like those two guys. We're going to cover subjects like how to break into CB, the types of rigs and how to use the controls and what they're for, the types of antennae available, how to use the microphone, how to modulate properly, and the do's and don'ts of CB. On side 2, we'll go through several simulated CB situations, showing the right and the wrong way to do things. We'll also cover the most common 10 codes and expressions used, and the thing you most want to learn, I'm sure, how to make your first CB call. So, if you're new to CB, by the end of this tape, you'll be able to break with the best of them. And if you're already modulating, you'll learn some of the more technical aspects. Keep your ears on, good buddies. Now, perhaps the first question that needs answering is, what is CB?
Excuse me, what is CB?
A good question. Well, basically, CB is the People's Radio Service.
Oh, like the BBC?
No, not exactly. CB is a private, two-way, short-distance voice communication system whereby anyone can have free communication with somebody else. Anyone can use it, from the guy next door to the kid across the street, from a doctor to a TV repairman, from the girl in the supermarket to a vet. And not only is it great fun to use, it also has a serious side. It can be used in an emergency like a breakdown or a traffic accident, or if you run out of petrol on an isolated stretch of road. CB is on the air 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. Some CB clubs have developed monitor teams to man the emergency channels at all times, so that you can be sure that someone will hear your call. So, how did CB start?
Dunno.
CB began in the United States in 1947. It was the world's first citizens radio service and was developed from a VHF transceiver in use in the closing months of World War II. The frequency at this time was 450 megahertz. In the first 10 years, the service saw several 100,000 license holders. In 1953, New Zealand instituted a CB service on 26 megahertz. With the development of the transistor, it became necessary to change the band frequency. So in 1958, the Class D Citizens Radio Service was introduced at 27 megahertz and 23 channels. In the next 18 years, the system changed little. But in 1976, the channels were increased to 40, and the SSB, or single sideband, was developed. More about that later. In 1973, the energy crisis in America showed that cars fitted with CB were better able to find scarce fuel and avoid the speed traps set to enforce the new 55 miles per hour speed limit. CB use then grew very rapidly, and now there are well over 40 million CB users in the USA.
Can you repeat that, please?
Now I'll go on to tell you about what you need to break into CB.
Well, my brother's got a Jemmy.
No, that's not the sort of break-in I'm referring to.
Oh.
What I mean is the types of transceivers, or rigs as they're known, which you can get. Basically, they can be divided into 4 types: base, mobile, portable, and marine. Base units are usually desktop transceivers. As size is not usually a problem, the performance is better as a rule than mobile units, and they very often have more features. However, they are also usually more expensive. Nearly all base models use AC current. In other words, they plug into the mains. Although combined base mobile units have a dual facility 12-volt DC or 240-volt AC power source. Mobile units are normally 40-channel transceivers operating from a 12-volt negative earth electrical system, such as a car uses. They're smaller in size than a base unit for obvious reasons and have totally solid-state circuitry, and they can offer many attractive features. A portable or walkie-talkie unit is capable of two-way communication whilst being carried. A telescopic whip antenna is usually standard, and the power source is a battery. So with that said, I'll throw you the high numbers and wish you well. 10-10, we gone.